Hey everyone, welcome. I'm Danielle Weekly. I'm the editor of Go Hustle and of Women's Health. And I am so thrilled tonight to welcome you to our next work from home social club in the series. We started running these because if you're anything like us, you were also keen to hear answers from experts that were outside of your family circle. With no offense, Auntie Clement, and tonight we have our biggest crowd online today. So you all clearly wanted a hit of common sense and inspiration and confidence when it comes to your money and your careers. Tonight's topic is let's talk about savings, side hustles, and knowing your financial, business, and emotional worth. And while that might sound like a mouthful, I honestly do believe that you cannot have one success without the other. And tonight's panelists are here to share their wisdom, advice, and their journey to hopefully not just inspire you, but give you workable tips that can inform your own life. If you've joined us for one of our previous chats, you'll know the drill, but if not, you'll find loads of info in the chat box already. So feel free to ask questions or just say hi right there. If your screen freezes, this is all the housekeeping bits, just refresh in your browser and you'll be let straight back into the talk. And then Liesel from Old Mutual is our ghost in the machine tonight. So she'll be giving general input towards advice questions that you may have in the chat box while we're live in convo. But we also will hopefully have time at the end of our chats to answer a few of your questions. So don't be shy in asking. Old Mutual have also very kindly given us a couple of 1,000 Rand shopping vouchers and a spot prize to give away tonight. So you could be in line to spend their money instead of your own, which by the time you've listened to Zama and all of these people, you obviously will not be spending your own. You will be saving it, budgeting, investing, and working on goal settings. So that's where we're going to start. I am surrounded by talent tonight, and I'm so delighted to introduce you to the panelists. We've got with us Dr. Nandipa Ndlovu, Marciel Hopkins, and Zama Dekana. Nandi is going to be focused on talking you through starting your own small business, speaking out for yourself, which I think she does brilliantly, and what it takes to start a business journey. Joining her is Marciel, who will direct the convo towards owning your confidence and power to take that next step and make the changes and invest in yourself. While Zama, the old mutual voice of reason, is going to talk savings, how to save and invest and budget and set goals for your future. That said, though, I am going to ask each of them to introduce themselves and give a bit of intel as to how they got where they are today. So I'm starting with you, Marciel. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Marciel Hopkins. I was still an honors student in 2015. I was busy with my honors degree in psychology after studying drama. And my dad said, no more drama for you. You have to do something proper and academic with your life now. So I was busy with my honors degree in psychology. And a previous year's Miss South Africa finalist saw me at an event and she said, I think you should enter Miss South Africa, which at that point in time was something I never thought of because of the fact that I'm a very curvy girl. I don't have the perfect bikini pageant body. But she said to me, you know what? I think you should maybe just try and lose some weight and give it a go. And I actually think in retrospect, I saw that as a possible gap year before I would start my master's as a psychology student. And I embarked on a journey and lost 14 kilograms in 4 months to enter the pageant. And I was chosen as a top 12 finalist for Miss South Africa 2016. I didn't win the competition, but it really gave me the confidence to start my career in the entertainment industry. So after that, I became a model, but embracing my more curvy body, being a size 14 model, I started traveling to Europe. I booked my first ever modeling job in Germany, had my first ever paycheck in euro, which was amazing. So I've been doing modeling for the last 4 years, being a full-time model. But I realized you can never put all your eggs in one basket. So I also studied further. I'm now a qualified life coach after studying for 2 years. I'm also an inspirational speaker. I love to talk to women about body positivity, self-love, self-acceptance. And one of my biggest dreams came true. I'm also now a TV presenter, and I'm the new presenter for Boerse Vrou. Yay! Which is one of the most watched Afrikaans reality dating shows. And we're in the process of shooting the new series. So it's very exciting, obviously challenging also with COVID and all the new regulations. But it's very, very exciting and a massive privilege for me to be able to work on this project during a challenging time like this. So I'm basically a freelancer with many balls in the air, but I love it. I love a challenge. But we'll talk a bit about that later. So that's me in a nutshell. Over to you, Dr. Nandi.
Thank you so much, Marcel. Firstly, congratulations. 14 kilograms is no easy feat. So a round of applause to you. But a little bit about me. So my name is Dr. Nandipa Thandi Ndlovu. I am obviously a doctor, right? But I am a doctorpreneur, and I'll tell you more about that a little bit later on. I am a business owner. I'm a philanthropist as well. I do own a nonprofit company, and it's all about saving our little kids and giving them a much brighter future. And my little tidbit, a little bit about me that people don't know. So I have a BSc, which I got from Pretoria. And from then I worked as a medical rep for a month and I didn't like it. Didn't like it one bit. And then I became a housewife. Then I didn't like that. And I went and jumped into medicine. And that's where I literally found my feet and I soared. But the other thing came in when we had to be presenting and walking up and down of those hospital corridors, and my Jimmy Choos were not at home at all. I knew this was not for me. This was not my ceiling, and I started to obviously try to figure out where can I end up. And I found something beautiful, glamorous, which was just like me, and it's called aesthetics. And I dug into that, and I am now 4 years in, happy, following what I found was my passion. And that's what I'll be telling you about, how to chase your passion and be a bull about it. Over to Zama.
Well, afternoon, ladies. Afternoon to all the ladies watching also. I feel completely outnumbered, but I hope I represent the guys well tonight. My name is Zama Tigana. I'm from a small town in the Free State called Bultfontein. I grew up there, went to school in the region, studied at the University of the Free State. I'm currently the business development manager for Old Mutual's retail savings and income business. So we look after all the savings and investment solutions that Old Mutual offer in the retail space. And yeah, how I ended up at Old Mutual, I actually ended up at Old Mutual by accident. So I have an accounting and tax background. I studied accounting, I did my honors in tax. And then I was literally a couple of days away from signing my articles contract with one of the big four accounting firms. And then a friend of mine called me and asked me if I would not like to join Old Mutual as a broker consultant. Of course, at first, I didn't know what that was. I did my research, and then I just thought, you know what, let me keep my word to my friend. Let me go see what these people want. And then, yeah, I loved the format of the interview. The interview was, I felt very challenged, and that was it. I declined my articles offer, and I never practiced. I never qualified as a chartered accountant, went the complete other way, investments. And I must say, it's been an amazing journey for me. So after that, I was a broker consultant, and then I moved over to our wealth business, and then which as an investment specialist, after which I took up my current role as the business development manager of our retail savings and income product. So I absolutely love investments and markets and economics. I love talking about that. My wife can tell you a lot about economics and investments now, since we've been married for the last couple of months. So I'm really looking forward to tonight's discussion. I'm looking forward to all the questions and yeah, all the engagements. Thanks.
Brilliant.
Over to you, Dan.
Thanks, Zama. So I think in that case, I'm just going to start with you. And if this year has taught us anything, it is the peace of mind that would come from having savings. So my questions to you are, when should you start? How should you start? And what are some tricks to help you stick to your savings plan?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting one. They say that hindsight is the best, because now with the pandemic, we're all probably thinking back and thinking, oh my word, I should have and I could have. But when it comes to saving, the best time to start is definitely as soon as possible. I mean, I always tell people that if I had known what I know now about savings and investments, I would have made a lot more wiser money and savings and investment decisions. And yeah, so a very big savings and investment mistake, sorry, that a lot of young professionals or business people often make is delaying starting to save, because you think that for me to start saving, I have to earn a lot of money first, or I have to do this first. But yeah, I can't start saving now. But actually, when you are investing or when you're saving money, one thing that you want more than a big contribution is time. Because I don't know if you guys have heard about the eighth wonder of the world, which is compound growth. So your money can only compound if you give it time, or your money also need to spend as much time as possible in the market so that it can grow. Now, if we can make an example, I just want to make an example for you guys quickly. So let's say Dr. Nandi and Marcel are twins, right? They both start working at the age of 25, young professionals, just got out of university, full of energy. They want to go change the world. They both start working at the age of 25. So Dr. Nandi decides she's going to start saving at the age of 25. And Marcial decides, no, I'm not going to start saving at the age of 25. I still want to live la vida loca. I will start saving when I am 40. Besides, by the time I'm 40, I'm going to be earning more. So I'll save more. So Dr. Nandi only contributes 5,000 Rand per year. So that's about 416 Rand per month that she contributes. Now, she only contributes from the age of 25 until she's 35, and she stops contributing. Marcial, on the other hand, she starts contributing at the age of 40. But when she starts contributing at the age of 40, she starts contributing 10,000 Rand a month. And that 10,000 Rand actually grows at a better investment rate than Dr. Nandi's. Now, when they both get to 60, then I don't know if you want to guess, who do you think will have the biggest fund value between Marcial and Dr. Nandi?
Ooh, I know it's going to be the wrong answer.
so because Dr. Nandi started saving way earlier, 15 years earlier than Marcel will not catch up with Dr. Nandi when by the time they get to the age 60, just because Dr. Nandi's money has spent 15 years more in the market than Marcel's money. So when it comes to investing, you definitely want to start saving as soon as possible, and you want to give your money as much time as possible in the market. So if you ladies haven't started saving, it's time to start saving
now.
But and then how do you start? So the how is also quite a tricky question, but the most important thing is that, and Dan, we spoke about it just before we started, is that you definitely have to be in command of your budget. You need to know how much money is coming in. You need to know how much money is going out, because very often our budget is we know exactly how much is coming in, but we are not sure exactly where that money is going. At the end of the month, you have, a lot of times you absolutely have no idea of where your money went. I mean, if I use myself as an example, before I got married, I don't like cooking. My wife will tell you I'm not good at it. I don't enjoy it. So I used to spend an inordinate amount of money eating out. But until I actually committed to seeing a financial advisor, no one made me aware of having good budget habits. I mean, I remember my first appointment with my financial advisor. I thought he was going to ask me all of these questions about my goals and my dreams. When do I want to retire? Which country do I want to travel to next? Or all of those things. And all he asked me to prepare for our first meeting was my budget. He said, draw up a budget. Check how much money is coming in and how much money is going out. And that one appointment changed the trajectory of my financial planning journey, because now I know exactly how much money is going in and how much money is going out. And I have to be committed to that. So I would say the best way to start for people who haven't started yet is to start off with your pay slip, obviously, to see how much money is coming in, how much money you're earning, and then draw up a budget. And then in that budget, very basic, simple principle, don't spend more than what you are earning. And I remember as a young graduate, the one thing when you start working, the one thing that you're going to have access to is definitely debt. You're going to have access to lots and lots of debt, and it is so tricky and so easy to fall into that debt trap without you even noticing. So it's important, put your pay slip there and then budget according to obviously your needs and your lifestyle. But whatever you do, don't spend more than what you are earning. And then don't throw away your bank statement or disregard your bank statement. Every month, at the end of every month, you need to look at your bank statement, and so that you can actually see what am I spending my money on? Where is it going? And what habits can I change? Where can I tweak a few things so that I can save some money? And Dan, just before you started, you mentioned a very nice handy tool that can help you with that, the 24/7 app. I mean, it's a very nice tool that can show you exactly how much money is going in, what are you spending it on, and then how much money do you have left at the end of the year. And then I don't know if you had another question. Did I answer?
I did have
answer
another
all three
question,
questions? Yeah.
although I feel like now you've given me so many nuggets, many of which I quite possibly have been ignoring all this time. But what I was also going to ask is like, what are some of the tricks to help you stick to a savings plan or stick to a budget? Like, I mean, is it something like goal setting? Is something like that going to help you, like, emotionally? Like, what makes you, we're ladies, we want to like look forward to something.
I
What's
know,
a trick
I know.
to help you stick to it?
Well, this is quite a tough one, but sadly, you will need to be very disciplined if you want to reach your financial goals. And one thing I've noticed is that if you cannot stick to your budget or commit to your budget, then there is absolutely no ways you're going to commit to a savings goal or investment goal. Because the one thing about an investment goal is that unfortunately, you're going to have to ignore your emotions, especially when the market starts going up and down. I'm sure many of you would have heard in March when the markets fell, a lot of customers were panicking. So when you have an investment goal or a savings goal, one thing that you're going to have to do is definitely ignore the noise in the market and the emotions that you are talking about. And then, like I said,
yeah,
it is. And then in drawing up your budget, a very important point to notice also is that when you're drawing up your budget, it is important to give yourself room to make mistakes within your budget. So don't make your budget so tight that there's no cash flow, so that if there's an emergency or an unforeseen expense that you have to incur, then you have to resort to debt to create cash flow in your budget. So that's very important. And also it's very important to set small goals. A small goal that I set myself is something like, if we've bought our groceries and everything at the beginning of the month, I set myself a target and say, okay, this week I do not want to spend more than 100 Rand on myself. Then I know that I don't. You've bought groceries for the month, you've bought everything that you need for the month, whatever time period you've bought for. Now, why do you still have to go and spend money? Go to the shop just because you're bored. You go to the shop, you go see what's at the shop, you end up spending 500 Rand, 1,000 Rand at the shop. Or small things like, for those of you who have kids, I have a lot of nephews and nieces, and you can never go to the shop with a child without buying something. And then it's a sweet, then it's a toy. Those you have daughters, and I'm sure you would know. So those are small tricks.
They're very expensive.
Yeah, so those are small tricks just to help you get to your savings or your investment goal.
Cool.
I love it. So I know we speak a lot about discipline. And Marcial, I mean, maybe we can chat a little bit about this. I know you and I chat about the wisdom involved in not giving up on yourself and being disciplined. And it's something that you are extremely passionate about. So maybe talk to us about how you go after something, whether it was your Miss South Africa or your current Worsaka Pro journey, and what helps keep you motivated and believing in yourself and disciplined with that end goal in mind.
I think one of the biggest things that I can advise young women on is to break your goals down in smaller steps. So way back when I started studying drama, one of my biggest dreams was to become a TV presenter. But that dream, or a big dream, can be very overwhelming. And sometimes it actually makes you passive because you feel overwhelmed. You don't know where to start. How will I ever even break into the industry? Because it's so overwhelming. So I just realized, even from being a student, I need to break down this massive dream and goal that I have into smaller steps. So it can be as simple as making small decisions every single day that will help you get to where you want to be. So, I mean, there were many reasons why I entered Miss South Africa. I think one of the biggest reasons was to challenge myself and break through my own limiting beliefs. But one of the things I had in mind was also to give me a stepping stone to move into the TV presenting scene one day. But, you know, afterwards, there was a lot of pressure because people go, okay, but what are you going to do now? You had this incredible Miss South Africa platform. And I went through phases where I put a lot of pressure on myself going, oh my goodness, I need to do something amazing now. But it can be very overwhelming. And I realized I need to start with the modeling and just keep on working. So I started with acting classes. I did my life coaching course. I was constantly working on skills to help me prepare for when the opportunity would come. And I actually auditioned for the Bushika Vrou presenting job 2 years ago, and I didn't get it, which I was very disappointed about. But I realized there were clearly still things I had to work on, skills I had to craft, more confidence. I'm in a way better place and space in my life now. I feel more mature and comfortable in my own skin and who I am. And I got the opportunity to audition again. And this is honestly one of the biggest dreams that has come true for me, to be this TV presenter. And I think often people can look from the outside and go, oh, wow, that happened overnight. I mean, like, wow, she's an overnight success. Now she's on the magazine cover and she got this amazing job. But I started working on this dream since the age of 18, making decisions, crafting skills, challenging myself out of my comfort zone to actually get to the point where I am now. So to answer the question, how to stay motivated, is break down your goals and your dreams into smaller steps that's realistic and that's measurable. So it almost becomes a little bit of a healthy addiction. So when you actually achieve these small little goals, so for example, I have the goal to have my American accent down to the T by December. And every time when I have a lesson and I work on it and I get better, I actually am motivated to even work harder. But I'm not saying I need to be, you know, ready for an American audition within a month from starting class. I've been working on this for a whole year. So break it down, make it measurable, and do something small every single day that will help you move forward to where you want to be.
I love that. I love the idea of goal setting and breaking it down into smaller things. And Nandi, I think, you know, you and I also have spoken previously in the past about goal setting and how setting yourself those same goals was a big part of you starting your business journey. So perhaps tell us how you first approached your move into starting Skin Oasis.
Sure. What a journey it actually was. And the biggest thing about it was I was venturing into something I've never seen before and never done before. And I mean, the sad thing about being a medical doctor is we know nothing business. There is no business crash course. There's nothing basic about here are the steps to follow, you know? So I was out there with this dream essentially to start something, but not knowing how. And I think what truly helped me was mentorship. So you try to figure out from people who have done something similar to you, if you're pioneering, obviously, and you try to figure out how did they do that. And then you learn from that, obviously, and you take those skills and then you build on that. But what?
So I'm going to pick up there from Dr. Nandipa. I think that mentorship is such a big part of...
Sorry, a call came through. I'm now because my computer isn't going through, so I'm trying. Please just bear with me. So I was just saying that mentorship was my cornerstone essentially and really helped me through. And then also finding out what do you actually need? How much is it going to cost you? So research. Don't just jump into the deep end and think that I'm going to make it because I have a dream. A dream is not enough. So put proper plans into place. Go into the bank. Find out how much are you actually able to get money for? How much are you able to actually get more credit for, rather, you know? And then figure out what you need to do and take it step by step. And don't be afraid to obviously start small. People have these like big dreams that I'm going to start a business overnight and I'm going to drive a flashy car and it will come in time, but you always start small. And I think that was my biggest lesson as well. Start small and conquer it. And once you're confident enough, then you obviously build on that confidence. And that was my business journey. Start small, do your research, find a mentor, learn to listen as well. Because they will tell us things that we don't actually want to hear, but learn to listen, take it with a pinch of salt, and do your best and trust in your passion and trust in why you actually started. And I think that was my biggest thing, to say, it is something new, it's something I don't know much about. So I've got to obviously learn about it and then keep on pursuing it, because I knew at the end of the day, this is where I want to end up.
Brilliant. And tell me, Marcel, you also talk a lot about confidence and making the effort with career skills and all those sort of things. But often, you know, if you're young and you're starting out, it is also very difficult to find that confidence. And I think from a life coaching, Marcel, maybe you are best equipped to answer this question, but how do you find the confidence to network, first of all? And what are some of the confidence tricks that you could use to tell yourself that you've got this?
It's very much mind over matter. I sometimes think we take things too personally. So I'm going to give an example from my experience. So during my Miss South Africa journey, we really needed a lot of outfits and a lot of designs for the whole process. And it became very, very expensive. So you can't just budget for all of it. So I contacted quite a few designers to see if they want to collaborate with me. And I mean, sometimes it was 1 out of the 10 designers that would actually reply. But I decided then I'm going to work with that person that actually replies to me, because that's someone that wants to work with me as well. So we have to learn, especially when it comes to business, to not take things too personally. So forget about the 9 that didn't reply. Don't see it as a personal rejection. Maybe they didn't even get the email, or they forgot to reply, and just work with the people that wants to work with you. Also, I think do very specific research. Nandi also touched on it, but look at people that's 5 or 10 years ahead from where you want to be and contact them. I always say, pop an email, you've got nothing to lose, ask them out for a coffee. Now with Corona, ask them out for a Zoom date. You've got nothing to lose. The only thing that can happen is they don't reply or they say no. But what often happens is people are very flattered when you ask their advice or if you want to learn from them. So it's often a very good experience for them if they receive an email like that. So very important when it comes to sending that email is the tone. I think it's very important to always stay humble, to always have a learning spirit, because I've received emails where it's almost like someone's dream is being launched onto me, where the tone of the email is, you need to help me to start out a modeling career, and you know, this kind of your responsibility now. And that actually makes me not want to reply, because it's your responsibility that you must take. So always stay humble, ask, you know, when do you have time? Even if it's just 10 minutes, can I please take you out for a coffee? And this is a principal thing that I experienced once is I spent 2 hours with a journalist student. She was busy on a project about body positivity. I drove to Stellenbosch. I spent 2 of my hours giving her all the answers she wanted. And she did not even offer to pay for my coffee. Now, this is not about the 30 Rand that my coffee was at all. I mean, this has nothing to do with that. It's about the principle of thanking someone, being willing to just at least take them out for a coffee, and always being grateful, sitting in gratitude when it comes to learning from someone. So the thing is, mind over matter. Don't overthink the people that don't reply on your emails. Really work with the ones that's keen to work with you as well.
I love that. And I love what you said about learning spirit. I think that's such a cool turn of phrase, and so absolutely right to always keep in mind. Nandi, when you and I spoke, you also mentioned the fact that you really enjoy staying up to date, not just with skills and trends, but also going to conferences and keeping yourself educated and current with everything and never stopping learning. How important do you think this thinking is when you're starting a new business or a new career?
Can I also mention how many of my clients come in as Dr. Googles, and they will say, so I read and I know and I want. So it is up to me to actually be able to say to them, listen, this will work and this won't work because this is what I have researched and what I've personally seen myself. So the thing is about being in the aesthetics game is that you always need to be on top of your game. There are constantly new ingredients coming out. There are new devices coming out. And when you don't know what to tell all your Dr. Google patients, they will go elsewhere. And I feel that just in anything, in any business, whether it is medical or corporate, you need to always be learned. You need to always have something mindful to tell the people who have come to you to seek your advice. And people will come to me and they will say, I want things done. And I need to obviously be very learned and be able to tell them safely, this cannot happen because here are the side effects of this, or this can't happen because if I do this to you, it will turn out in this manner. But if I don't know and I go blindly into any kind of Dr. Google consultation, I could be harmful, obviously, to my clients, and it's obviously not something safe. So I think that within anything, always know exactly what you're getting yourself into, firstly, and always know what you don't know. Because when we know what we don't know, we actually know how much more we need to read, how much more we need to look up. And even if it's not a thing of going to like conferences and going overseas, a simple thing of opening up your textbooks, opening up your Google and actually typing in how do I and what's the new thing out there, because it's always good to give of your best to every single person who has come to you and obviously thinks of you as a person that they would like to learn from.
Brilliant, thank you. I mean, I think it's such an important point to make because you often can be talked into the fact that you don't have time for those sort of things and that there isn't enough, there aren't enough hours in the day. Zama, both of our entrepreneurs on this panel are definitely classified as hustlers with more than one thing going on and keeping their up-to-date interests and varied. How does this way of being in the world, how does this translate into investing? Is it better to put your money into a single savings or better to be brave and invest in multiple scenarios, invest in a portfolio? How can you help us demystify investments?
So I think, yeah, we'll just have to separate savings from investment. Saving being, saving money over or putting money away over a shorter period, and then investment being money that you put away over a longer term, and typically also for a bigger goal, such as retirement. So when in business, and I'm sure Dr. Nandi and Marcel will know much better than me, but it is always very important to have some kind of a backup or emergency savings. And not just when you're in business. I mean, I think if there's one thing the pandemic has showed us the importance of, it's the importance of having an emergency fund for those unexpected, sometimes maybe even months of not having an income or having to take a salary cut. So it's very important to have some kind of an emergency or backup savings in place. Now, the emergency money is obviously money that will have to be accessible and not be exposed to a lot of risk. And I'll talk about that just now. Now, I've seen a lot of business people, especially farmers, who feel that it is much better for them to put money back into their business as an investment rather than investing money in something such as a unit trust or retirement annuity. Now, I understand the sentiment and it makes absolutely a lot of sense. But like Marcial said in the beginning, that it's always best to diversify and not put all your eggs in one basket. Or as Warren Buffett says, don't test the depth of a river with both your feet. So it's the same with investment. So now your second question about whether it's better to put money in a single saving or in some kind of a portfolio. Now, yeah, we need to remember, and this is a question that, or this is something that I think a lot of people actually don't understand, is that when you invest money, or whether your money is even sitting in the bank, your money goes into what we call asset classes. So we have different asset classes, and the main asset classes are equities. Equities being the shares or stocks that are listed on the JSE. We have cash or money market. That is what you get when your money is lying in your bank account. We have property, which can be either listed property on the JSE or direct property, like you buying a building or something like that. Or we also have bonds, which is a debt instrument that governments or corporates use to raise capital. So your money is always exposed to those asset classes. So whether you are saving or investing, it's always very important to you to figure out, once you've determined your investment or savings goal or the lifestyle that you want to live, it's very important for you to determine, with the help of a financial advisor, I would recommend, which asset classes do I need to expose my saving or my investment to so that I can reach my investment goal or the savings goal that I need to reach. Now, for an example, equities is it's the riskiest asset class. But over time, equities has given you the most returns. So that says that if you are investing over a long term, or you have a long-term savings goal or investment goal, such as retirement, and you are still young, perhaps it's very advisable that you expose your money to as much equities as possible because you have time. But if you are saving for a short-term goal, such as an emergency fund, perhaps then it would be much wiser to expose your money to something like cash or money market. Because even though cash or money market it's the safest asset class compared to the other asset classes, but when it comes to returns, it is far less. You'll get a lot more returns, for a lot less returns, than your equities and property. Now, something that's very important to consider when investing in cash, or when you're just locking your money up in the bank account, and I'm working a lot with this at the moment, is that interest rates are directly correlated or linked to money market returns. So if interest rates go down, it means that the returns that you are getting for your money in the bank, those returns are also coming down, they're decreasing. And when the interest rates go up, those money market or cash returns will obviously go up. So the biggest threat to your money in this case is inflation. You can imagine today they announced the inflation rate at the moment, I think it's 2.2%. So if your rate, the interest rate or the money market rate that you're getting is 2%, then it means that your money is keeping up, your money is keeping its purchasing power. So whenever you're investing or saving, you always want your money to beat inflation. And that should be the measuring stick. Firstly, what is my investment goal or my savings goal? What are the asset classes that I need to expose my money to so that I can reach that investment goal? And then a very important thing, lastly, is risk. You must remember, for you to reach an investment goal or target, there's some level of risk that you'll have to take to get certain returns. So you must determine, am I comfortable with that risk that I can take, or can I even afford to take that investment risk?
Thank you, Dama. I feel like I should be the one taking notes as you're talking, because I think I need this info as much as everyone else. I want to say that throughout this chat, we've been asking the audience to ask questions in the chat box. And I'm going to start looking at some of those questions before this moth attacks me, because we have got lots of questions. And Zama, you are going to be a busy man for the next little while. So I'm going to start with a question for one of the ladies, because otherwise we're just going to take up all of your time. And this one is for Maciel. Could you please give us more tips on time management when you are trying to run a business or work full time, be a single mom, study? What are your tips on time management?
It's very interesting because it's one of the most important things that you need to master when being a freelancer and having many balls in the air. And I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is not giving themselves enough time for a meeting or an activity. And when one meeting runs late, your whole day is a bit of a mess. And I grew up with a dad that was very, very specific on time. So my heart starts beating fast if I think I'm going to be 5 minutes late. So it's very important when you wake up in the morning to at least have 10 to 20 minutes to plan your day. Because if there's not a structure to your day, it's just going to run away with you. Or if you prefer doing a Sunday evening plan for the week, that's also good. Or if you prefer just planning for the day. But we can't just get up, drink a coffee and go without having structure to the day. So get up for what works for me as a to-do list, knowing what must happen today, what also to-do list priorities. What is the biggest priority for the day? And not start with the unimportant things that's maybe nicer. Start with the things that's a priority that needs to get done. And also then structure enough time to get from place or point A to B. I get very frustrated when people don't plan when it comes to time. So for me, I always budget in more time to get to somewhere, because there's always traffic or something happens. This is maybe more before COVID, but I will always rather be early
Dream about traffic
than late.
now.
Yes, goodness to heavens. But my biggest advice on that would be to structure your day, structure your hours, plan your day, schedule in what must happen when, and then obviously also have flexibility, because sometimes things happen and you must, it's like an emergency thing. So if you have more time structured on activities, you at least can take some of that time to give attention to what is important in that, on that day.
Perfect. Thank you. She says, taking notes. Zama, I'm going to head back to you. And I'm going to take notes on this one too. If you had 1 million Rand and you didn't need to use it for 3 years, what would you do with it to get the highest return, but not too much risk?
Sure. Now I have two questions in my mind now. The the right one, or but I'll try to answer it this way. So if we look at the traditional asset class returns and the risk of the asset classes and so on, 3 years is not a very long time, and you wouldn't want to take too much risk with that money. And yes, even though you might say that it's 1 million Rand that you don't need now, but 1 million Rand is still a lot of money. So that is not money that you would want to take a lot of risk with. Perhaps it's money that you can maybe look at a maybe 40 or 50% equity exposure, and then the rest should be in less riskier assets, such as maybe a lot of cash and a little bit of bonds also. But we do have a lot of unit trust funds that you can choose from, which will obviously depend on time horizon and your investment goal. And then depending on that, with the assistance of a financial advisor, again, I would like to reiterate, you can decide which unit trust fund is the best for you. Now, interestingly, the numbers show us that recently we've been seeing quite a lot of people basically gambling in the market with their money at the moment. Because the JSE was on a low in March, a lot of people felt this is an opportunity for me to turn 1 million.
Have
I just lost him in the precise moment that he wanted to tell me how to spend my 1 million Rand?
Yeah, not over a week. So
it will remain a secret forevermore, people.
So there's a lot of people at the moment basically gambling with their money in the market, and that's a very that's a risk. And I would just recommend the importance of having a trusted financial advisor that can walk a path with you, and that can advise you on questions like that. Like, if I have 3 months, if I have 3 years and 1 million Rand, what can I do with that money? Because the risk conversation is also a very important risk, a conversation that needs to be had with the customer. Because it's one thing to say, I don't mind losing my money until you lose it.
Yeah, no, we don't want to lose. We only want to make money. We know that rule. We want to lose nothing. We just want to keep making it.
Yeah.
Nandi, I have got a question for you from the audience, and it is, what do you regularly do to maintain your network?
The one thing which I had to learn is communicate. Do not stop communicating. Marcio mentioned earlier on, people love getting spoken to, right? So within every single network, obviously you have different networks for different reasons, but you keep communicating with every single person. You create a connection with them, and you make sure that you're both obviously benefiting from this. It can't be a network where only one person can obviously get something out of it, and then I feel robbed out of this connection. So it has to be equally beneficial, where we're each learning. I mean, I've got a NPC. It's a non-profit company, and in that non-profit company, I'm learning from my little children, which I cater for, and I get mentorships for them, and I give them scholarships. But my take home is my little feel good moment, and they get obviously given much brighter futures through this whole communication thing. So I'm just saying, networks, please, people, don't first come up to me and say, I would like to be a mentor, like a mentor. And then after 2-3 months, you then disappear. And then I must come and bother you because I am obviously interested in your growth. So if you do create some kind of network, obviously follow up and, show the interest, do what you need to do to keep it going. Don't just call the person up and then disappear and think that they will run after you and try help you pursue your dream. It is your dream. You must push it. You must put fuel into it. So keep on connecting, and that's it. And it's how you keep all your networks fresh and healthy. But it must be beneficial for both sides. And yeah, keep your dream alive.
I love that. And I know that while I was nodding furiously, so was Marcial, because we all like, yes, yes, it needs to be beneficial on both sides. So I'm going to ask you this question, Marcial. It also came from the audience, which is like, what is the best way to improve your communication or speaking skills? And I think that does dovetail into networking as well.
Practice. I must say, with the motivational speaking, or I love to call it inspirational speaking, that I did, I mean, that was never really part of the plan. So as soon as I started sharing my journey of body positivity and how I'm on a journey of self-acceptance, people started asking me to come and tell my story. But ultimately, I mean, I wasn't a professional. So I started small. Like, I started with small, not so intimidating groups. So once again, putting yourself out there. If you are interested in being a public speaker, or if you want to be more confident when it comes to speaking in front of people, or just owning your voice in general, is you have to practice that. It's like anything in life. So even in your little family group, like, get up. It sounds silly, but do a little speech, prepare something and do it in front of 4 people and ask for feedback. I think that's something we so often forget, is we need to ask for feedback. So how do I look when I stand in front of a group? Am I doing something weird? Am I clicking my fingers? Am I rocking around? Or do it in front of the mirror, or even better, record yourself. It's sometimes bizarre when I look back on my self-tapes for acting and I see things that I do, but it's so important to evaluate and keep improving. So I would say practice. Start small. Once again, break down the goal. Don't go in and go talk in front of 500 people. It's going to be terrifying. But I mean, I started with small groups of 12, and now the biggest audience I've spoken in front of was 700 women. And that was live in front of, people you can see. It wasn't on the internet where you kind of guess how many people there are. And you get better with every go. And I often, if I know someone in the audience, I ask for feedback. And sometimes it's uncomfortable because you don't always get, like the, wow, you were amazing. But that's the only way you improve. Now, of course, they'll say you're amazing, but they'll say this is what you can improve on. Maybe you shouldn't elaborate on that part. I think you maybe lost the audience there. So constantly practice and constantly ask for feedback.
Brilliant. It's great advice. I mean, you make it sound so simple, but it's absolutely spot on. Zama, I think we've kept you quiet for long enough. So we're coming back to the financial brains of the arrangement here. As a student, you can't afford to visit a financial advisor. What investment options would you suggest for a newbie in investing?
So as a student, you're actually not too young to visit a financial advisor. There's no such thing as you're too young to visit a financial advisor. So if you are a student and you have a source of income, then I definitely advise that you get in contact with a financial advisor. And like I said, the same investment principles that would apply to someone that's working or in business would apply to a student also. Draw up a budget and stick to it. And if you are a student that can save money, my word, that is amazing. I mean, I remember when I was a student, I didn't have a budget. What came in, went out, went straight out. And so it's very important as a student, even to start learning to budget as a student. That's a very important thing. Start learning how to budget. And I know something that a lot of students also do is that you do odd jobs here and there, and that gives you an extra income that you earn from whatever those odd jobs are. And it's very wise also, that extra money that you get that is not committed, put it away. I mean, there are investment vehicles where you can put in money away as and when you have money, and you have full accessibility to the money, that whenever you need the money, you have access to that money. But it's a very important principle that I think that if you can instill it as a student and start budgeting as a student and start putting money away as a student, that's great. I mean, I have a friend of mine who he started seeing a financial advisor in his last year at university, and that financial advisor gave him excellent advice. Something such as when you start working, don't now increase your living expenses. If you can, keep staying with friends. If you're staying with friends and you guys can pay each other, keep staying with friends. If in this particular instance, this guy had a car, a very small, broken down car, but the advisor said to him, look, that car is paid off. You don't need to go spend another 3,000-4,000 rand a month now on a new car. There's nothing wrong with that car. It can get you from where you stay to work and back. So keep it. So, I mean, the financial foundation that that guy laid in his first 3 or 4 years of work started in his last year at university. And it has set him up for a very, very long time.
So there's no such thing as being able to afford a financial advisor, right? I mean, you can go for it. And tell me, what is the difference between a financial advisor and a financial coach? And which one would be the better of the two, if there is a better? I mean,
so ideally speaking, your financial advisor is supposed to be your financial coach. Your financial advisor is supposed to be the person that takes you from where you are from a financial planning point of view to where you want to be. And that can be something like if you want to start planning for retirement, that's the person that's supposed to coach you in terms of, okay, what investments should I make? How should I structure my salary? And so on. If you are planning to get married, you should be having that conversation with your financial advisor, who should be coaching you in terms of, okay, I'm getting married. What is the time frame? How much money can you put away, and so on. So your financial advisor is supposed to be your financial coach. And this is a very sensitive topic, because financial advisors have created a bad name for themselves in the industry. A lot of financial advisors are known as "should you die." Should you die, what's going to happen to you, and so on. So for a very long time, the industry has very much been sales driven, but the industry is slowly starting to change. My personal journey, I also took a very long time to commit to a financial advisor because of trust issues. But like I said, since I've committed, it took me a while. I got to know him first. I got to see how it works, and I've been coming along with him now for the last couple of years. And like I said, for every major life event, that's the guy that I talk to, and I ask him, look, this is what's coming, this is what's happening, what should we do, how can we plan for this? So your financial advisor is supposed to walk that path with you and coach you also.
Thank you. Now I have a question for Nandi, and it is about startup businesses, and like if you've got any tips on which routes to take to assist with a business startup.
I need to unmute myself. So I need to tell you a very quick story before I actually answer that. So when I first started, I did something in hindsight very, very silly. And I thought that I was going to buy an established practice and jump into something which was already, happening, had a set clientele, and then run with that. That did not work out. Did not work out. It sounded easy. It sounded smart, but basically every single business that you build is something you built, and people come for not only what your services are, but for you. So when I then took over into this lady's business and I tried to then run it, it didn't work for me because it was not built by me. So it obviously didn't have any special touch. It didn't have anything personalized by myself to say, this is what I have created. So when you're starting something, don't try go for the quick fix. Don't try go for what seems easy. Go for what is true to you. So I always tell all the people who've actually asked me this very same question: what is your why? Why do you want to start this? And always go back to that question, every single move, every single step that you make, and say, does this answer that why? And if it doesn't, it is not the right move. And remember, as I said earlier on, start small. Start small, personalize it, make it into your own thing, own it, put your love into it, put your passion into it, and make people fall in love with what you are obviously loving, which is your passion. And when they love it, they will follow you. And that's how you grow your business, by by pouring into it and pouring you into it. So that's how I did it, and hopefully it will answer your question. But essentially, pour you into your passion, and people will come.
Great, thank you. We have got time, a little bit of time left, and I'm going to ask each of you one last question. Zama, you see, and as soon as I said that, I actually have two for Zama. So the first thing for Zama is that on the should you die kind of advice, what are the new kinds of investment products in the markets to avoid the should you die advice?
I'm sorry, Danielle, I missed that.
What are the new kinds of investments that we should be looking at?
Sure. So if you, from a technical point of view now, the industry has what we call contractual products, where you would have to commit for 15 years, I'm going to contribute 500 Rand per month. And should anything happen, a lot of times those customers are faced with penalties if they either want to access the money or if they can no longer contribute premium. So that is what you call the older generation products. So the newer generation products, what we're looking at is products that are a lot more, they're a lot cheaper, they're a lot more flexible, and they're a lot more accessible. And also wider range of asset classes or funds, if you want to call it that. So in the newer generation products, you can decide how often you want to pay. If it is lump sum contributions or if it is recurring contributions, you have full access to your funds. So you can access your money as and when you need it. So it's very nice because then it gives you an opportunity to separate saving from investment, where you can be saving for a short term in a suitable product that is flexible, and where you have premium paying flexibility. And on the other side, we have products such as retirement annuities, where you can invest for longer term for your retirement and so on. But once again, I definitely implore the use of a financial advisor. Dr. Nandi spoke about Google doctors, and in our industry, we also have Google financial advisors. And I would implore you to make use of a financial advisor. Google is not always the best financial advisor.
So what you were saying about retirement funds leads into this next question, which is, it's this: during these difficult times when many companies are retrenching, would you advise that one withdraws a provident fund to make ends meet, or continue saving for retirement?
So if you don't have to withdraw, then I absolutely would encourage you to keep that money and use it as part of your retirement planning. So what we see a lot is that when people change employers, they also take their pension funds, which means that when they go start with a new employer, they start from scratch. And I spoke about time when we started. And the thing is, you must remember that you're running out of time. Your money is running out of time. So as far as possible and as much as you can, try to preserve that money. And if push comes to shove, where you have to withdraw, then it's understandable that you would withdraw to make ends meet. But then also it would also be advisable to maybe scale down where you can and cut costs where you can, so that you can preserve that money as far as possible.
Perfect, thank you. Marcel, this kind of leads in from that question I just asked Zama, but from more of an emotional point of view. And it's this: any tips on how to keep a positive disposition during trying times? I sometimes find myself overwhelmed with all the negativity around COVID-19.
It's so important to take ownership on what we feed our minds with on a daily basis, especially during this time. It's usually something I say when women or girls struggle with body acceptance and self-love. If you're constantly looking at Instagram pages and TV shows that puts out unrealistic body goals, of course you're not going to feel good about yourself. So I think it's important to establish what is mainly affecting you negatively during this time. And I think social media will be a big element in terms of constantly reading negative news articles, seeing people being negative. So you need to manage that. You need to take ownership of what you read, what you feed your mind with. So if it's better for you to switch it off for a while, to switch off the TV, just deactivate the social media channels, then that's what you need to do for your own emotional and holistic well-being during this time.
Perfect, thank you. I have one last question for Dr. Nandi, and it is around business startups again. But some people have advised young or startup entrepreneurs to get professionals like lawyers, chartered accountants, if they want to go far in business, but these people are expensive. So how can you do it if you can't afford these professionals, but you want your business to be taken seriously? Like, do you need all these professionals backing you up?
With a very limited budget, the one person that you do need is a lawyer. Okay, because obviously if you're starting up somewhere, you are going to have to sign some kind of lease to say this is where I want to start up. I have signed a lease or two that has come back and bit me somewhere that where the sun don't shine. But the point is, get a lawyer to please read over it. Make sure that you're not going to sign something which is going to harm you in any type of way. So please, no matter how limited your budget is, please do get a lawyer to at least, read over it and just guide you, obviously, in the first few steps on how you start your business. And then as you get bigger and bigger, then you will start needing more people to obviously help you out, to balance out your books, get your tax compliance and stuff. But step one, lawyer, please do not bind yourself into anything that could cost you money and could cost you peace of mind, and everything else you obviously add on as you grow. So don't try to do it all at once. So lawyer is your step one. The accountants can come later on as you build more money, because in your first few months, believe me, you're not making that much money, okay? And that's where you need to just try to be steadfast and obviously keep your passion alive. And then as the money starts to trickle in, then you start getting more financial advice from your lawyer, from your accountant. But by then you actually can afford them. So step one. I was muted.
What? No, only right at the end, and it was exactly that. It was like, start small, I think, was the important takeaway from all of that. So 100%. I have got one last question, which I am going to direct to Zama before we wrap up for this evening. And it is this, although I fear he might already have half told us the answer because it's going to be about budgeting. But I draw up a budget every month. But I fail because I love shopping. I could be reading this from my own WhatsApp messages. Oh. How do I spoil myself but still save?
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. And earlier on, I mentioned that in budgeting, you have to create room for things like that. You need to know what's your vice. What do you enjoy doing? Like, for instance, I enjoy playing golf, and a round of golf is not always very cheap. So in my budget, I need to work in, okay, I can go play golf maybe once or twice a month. And if my wife pays for the third round, then I can go play golf 3 times a month. But you need to work those kind of things into your budget. And you need to be honest about yourself, because what you don't want to happen, you don't want your budget to be so tight that when you do splurge, when you do go out shopping, you go completely over the top. So work it into your budget and control your emotions and the urge to shop. But I would advise that you work it into your budget.
It's like he doesn't understand us at all. I know that is 100% the right answer, and I'm so glad that you at least allowed us the opportunity to have a bit of I call it my reward for saving. So
yes, correct.
like just having just something to make it feel like all of the hard work on the savings front was rewarded by having a little something on the side. So thank you for giving us the little hit of joy. I know that there have been lots of questions in the chat box that we weren't able to get to. What I am going to suggest is that I share the questions amongst our amazing panelists, and we'll pop something onto digital with some of the answers to the remaining questions and things like that. So I will make sure that that happens, because we are out of time for this evening. But I want to, before I thank everybody, We have a couple of winners from tonight, and I'm just going to whip out their names and we will mail them afterwards. But on the subject of being able to spoil yourselves, at least there are a few of you that can right now. And that is Sibongile Masemola, Dudu Sigodi, Lesejo Twale, Marika Lang, and Nasipi Kweja. We'll mail you with all the details so that you've got all of those. That's from Old Mutual. They've given everyone 1,000 Rand shopping vouchers. Yay for spending money after a savings talk. But honestly, thank you to my really wonderful and very insightful guests tonight. It is always a joy hosting these, and I love being able to chat to people and to get advice and tips myself. So I know how great it is from an audience point of view to also be able to have access to your brains and your energy and all of your great sort of notes on the things that we spoke about tonight. For all of you who are online with us, you can hop back onto this chat and see what's been going on, or kind of take any more notes. You'll get a link to this. We'll upload it to YouTube in a couple of days' time. Our next talk will be on Wednesday, August the 19th, and it's with the author Rachel Wilkinson Miller. She's just written a book called How to Show Up for Yourself and for Others. So I think it'll be a really great opportunity to kind of think about being more mindful again in this crazy year, which I think we're also bored of thinking about, but then can't help thinking about all the time. It'll be bookings on Cricket as usual, but for now, just thank you, Nandi, Zama, Marciel. I loved spending time with you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And thank you everyone for being part of the audience tonight. And thank you Old Mutual for allowing us the opportunity this evening to have this chat.